Andrew, what's all this about and the unintended consequences?
Well, let's start with the bill itself. The concept of the Credit Rating Services Bill is to buttress the independence of credit ratings agencies as opposed to people they're rating, as well as impose some internal guidelines about codes of conduct, how they assert their independence, how they have diligence in their analyses. One of the most contentious clauses is that the bill, as drafted, introduces the concept of liability. Now, you can imagine if you're a credit ratings agent rating a $1 billion bond and something goes wrong, you face what you could see as $1 billion of liability. So when they talk about the unintended consequences, the fear is that ratings agents will just become unduly conservative. That is, they'll rate everything very low so that nobody will ever be able to say that they overrated it. And that would be a terrible unintended consequence, and I don't think it's the purpose of the bill.
Looking at the risk and reward element, I mean, Mervyn King always says in his governance reports, you know, it's no use just managing the risk, you also have to manage for reward, and the balance has to be kept. The ratings agencies really, the questions have to be asked about their role, and legislation like this, can they really be fixed by legislation, or is it something that is never really going to be satisfactory?
Well, okay, so the key issue that happened circa, in the early 2000s that led to the crisis in 2008 was it became evident, and this is common cause, I don't think I'm speaking out of school, that ratings agents somehow managed to get into the pockets of bankers who basically owned the relationship with the ratings agents, as well as the issuers of debt. And really, we have to remember, ratings agents only exist to service investors. They don't exist to service issuers. They are there actually as a watchdog for issuers, much like auditors are, for example. And the fact that the management of a company could appoint or replace or cajole or threaten or negotiate with their ratings agents, a terrible position for an independent analyst to be in. So I think the ratings agents generally accept that they do want their independence buttressed, and they don't mind an act that helps them do that. It's the liability thing. And I think we need to explore what the answer to that is as well.
Well, what is the answer? Because, as you say, if it's rather with boards of directors. If directors become personally liable for things that go wrong in the company to the tune of millions of dollars, rands, they won't take the risks.
So let's just okay. So that's the answer. We have to define under what circumstances they could be liable. I would have envisioned that I would hold a ratings agent accountable if it turned out that his research was not done independently, if he was inherently corrupted by some relationship with the counterparty or the arranger, and he still issued a rating, he should be liable for bad work. Equally, if he didn't follow any sort of diligent process, he just issued a AA rating without actually doing proper due diligence analysis, he's done bad work, and nobody should be able to rely on that. In fact, he should be liable. By the way, this is not unusual. Think about auditors. Auditors face legal liability. If they sign off accounts and it turns out those accounts were horrendously or fraudulently repaired, there could be financial liability. My business, asset management, if we are proven to be negligent or grossly negligent, not fulfilling our duties or acting outside a mandate, we face financial liability. So as far as I'm concerned, the ratings agents to whinge and moan, oh, we don't want liability, we can't do our business, is just a lot of rubbish. They must do their job properly, and if they don't do it properly, there's just no role for them in capital markets.
I'm not sure of the long history of ratings agencies and how they've adapted to the surfeit of information we have now. We have 24-hour information, many sources of it. It flows in all the time. One has to ask, well, do we need a ratings agency to tell us about our risk, or are they a convenient scapegoat if we get it wrong?
Well, you raised two important issues, and why do they have a role in capital markets? And by the way, notwithstanding my harsh language, I do believe ratings agents do have a role. In the absence of ratings agents, all the lenders, all the institutions have to be digging inside companies, getting material non-public information, confidential information, which really doesn't need to be out there. If the ratings agents do their job properly, they save company managements and asset managers a lot of angst about material non-public information. So there is a role for them. But as I say, if they can't be independent, then there is no role at all.
If they can't be independent, who pays them and who do they have to please? I mean, in the end, you have to ask that question. And if you are being rewarded for giving a certain version, one thinks of the company marketing officer who gives a presentation to the board and who says, those are my projected sales figures. We intend to improve by 5% next year because of difficult conditions. And the board says, no, that's not optimistic enough. We want you to give a better projection. And they employ him, so he will come up with a better projection, even if he doesn't believe in it.
So a really, really interesting point. So who pays them? Most of the people in the world think that the model where the issuer of the debt pays the ratings agent is inherently flawed. I can get over that problem because, frankly, companies pay their auditors, and auditors' sole job is to be a watchdog over management, really, and to create independent financial reports that users and the board and audit committees can use to assess the performance management. They don't give the power to the CEO to negotiate with the auditor. That's in the hands of the audit committee. So I don't mind the ratings agent being paid by the issuer. He should bear the cost of issuing his debt, by the way. What I want is accountability. If he doesn't do his job properly, then he's got to be accountable to the investors. He must be able to be appointed or replaced by the investors. And indeed, companies shouldn't be able to fire their ratings agent without investor approval, because that's what's happening now. I don't like my rating, I'm going to fire you. I'm going to rating shop. I'm going to get somebody else to do it. And you must have no illusions. This goes on every day. This is normal practice in the way companies engage with their ratings agents.
Oh, strong stuff. That was Andrew Canter, Chief Investment Officer at Future Growth.